It's the wiggle wiggle. Be the wiggle wiggle. Do the wiggle 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 wiggle. Well, hi everybody, buddy. This is the Wiggle Man in the house. Well, it's weird to be doing videos at this time of night, but something came to mind, and I would like to share it with everybody. Buddy, this is with a different point of view. We're not talking too much about Liv Morgan in this video, like I usually do, because the thing is, you know, oh, the the bottom line is oh, what I'm talking about is the the home state of myself and Liv Morgan, and we're talking about the state of New Jersey. See, you know, and the bottom line is, but we're not talking about her home state. We're not talking about her birthplace of Morristown and or or his, or the place that she was raised, Elmwood Park. But we're talking about my roots. It's all about me, you know? You know? You see, I'm from Brick City. I'm from I'm I'm from the city, one of the most popular cities in New Jersey history, and it's called Newark. You know, it's a Renaissance city. You know, you see, but getting back to Liv Morgan, you know what you see. Also, you know, it's a it's part of New Jersey. You know, and I really miss New Jersey. I missed all of New Jersey. I miss all the places I've been. You know, over there. I was born there. I was born in the city of Newark, August 9th, 1972. Yeah, yeah, and spent my early years there. But let's get we'll get it there. But as for Liv Morgan, Newark is a few blocks from the birthplace of Liv Morgan, which is Morristown, New Jersey. And Newark is also a few minutes from the city that Liv was raised. She was born as Gianna Jean Daddio, June 8th, 1994, and I was already ready a young adult at the time. At the time, Liv was born down in Morristown. No, she was a newborn at the time, and something. Elmwood Park is a few minutes from Newark because Elmwood Park is near the Meadowlands, and Morristown, on the other hand, is a few minutes from Newark because it's near Union in Union County. You know, so what I'm saying is, for those of you, those of you that that support that still supports Liv Morgan, even though she may be playing a role as a villain in the Judgment Day, doing her romance storyline with Dominic Mysterio, who is married to Marie Juliet, and also, so, and all of that. you know, for you know, here's my message. Before we begin, I would like to here's a message to all you Liv Morgan fans out there, whether you're from New Jersey or not. Always believe in Liv Morgan regardless. This because remember, Liv Morgan is the pride of New Jersey. See, so always believe in even Liv Morgan because she'll never gonna let us down. Okay, she'll never let the wrestling fans down, and she'll never want to let anyone down that loves her, and she'll never gonna let the people down in Morristown and Elmwood Park, Newark, or anybody in New Jersey that supports her and loves her down. And I know she's not gonna let me down. You know, since I'm from New Jersey myself, Newark, New Jersey, that is. Well, anyway, wait. Enough talk about live right now. Let's talk about my birthplace, which is called Newark, New Jersey. I told you that I was born August 9th, 1972. You know, in the town of Newark. You know, and and I will tell you a few places I've been in down in Newark. You know, you see at the time, my mom and my sister Yolanda de Morale, oh, 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 when she was a little girl, you know, oh, at the time we were living at Custer Place, which is in the Weekway section. Before or I moved to the one block that I enjoy living at the most during my early years. Littleton Avenue, 266 Littleton Avenue. You know, I rem, you know, I recall when I used to look at the window, though back in the day when I was a little boy. I used to look at the corner store, and I used to see that open space is when I was in the yard behind the fence, and then I looked at this bar lounge which is in a yellow building called um called the Golden Door. And now and then you know and at the time mom took me and my sister downtown so many times. We've been to places like the Howard the Howard. When it used to be a savings bank right next to where one of the two Gino's restaurants used to be. You know, lately, and it's also where McDonald's used to be. That's way before they put in the McDonald's in that area, and way before they put in Rainbow Shops down in Broad Market. No, Broad Newark, downtown Newark. And then there was a Woolworth over there. We miss going to Woolworths. That because Woolworth was one of the best places I've been. And 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 we went to my very first that restaurant that I enjoyed going. But mostly I was with with my mom and my sister at the time. I enjoyed being in this first restaurant, and this first restaurant is Gino's. When it was in Junction, when it was in partnership with KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, that is, you know, because Kentucky Fried Chicken makes the best chicken. You know, way before I enjoyed Hooters chicken, they call it wings, and then my latest favorite in fried chicken led to my biggest choice in fried chicken, can, which is Church's chicken. I'll tell you about Church's chicken in a little while. You know, you see, I really enjoyed Geno's. You know, that's where I tried my first hamburger. There are Jun- Geno's Juniors, was it? Then they it's the home of the of the Geno's Giant and the Sirloin, plus you know, and of course Kentucky Fried Chicken. I occasionally go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC rather. uh, You know, because I never had time to go to KFC, but I did grow up with Geno's and KFC, just like I grew up with McDonald's and Burger King. But I haven't been in Burger King in years. But I do enjoy going to McDonald's. You know, and you know what? There were other places I enjoy going that I enjoy going to when I was a kid. You know, there there was there was there's McCrory, the old McCrory building, and that's been gone. McCrory's been gone, and then there's Haynes, like Haynes and Company. There's a Haynes building right there. Now it's been gone. It's been gone in the late '80s. You know. Then it was not it it's not a while until I went to my first Burger King, which is in Springfield Avenue. You know, when I love those Whopper Juniors. You know, and you have it your way. You know, and then I went to my first McDonald's, which is in the Valesburg area, the Valesburg McDonald's, and then you know, and at the time when we went to Milford Avenue across, we visited my uncle, and my aunt, and my few cousins, since they used to live across us from Malcolm X Shabazz High School. You know, then it was a few blocks from these three places that used to be. There's this green building in Elizabeth Avenue, Sears Roebuck and Company. You know, you know, I, we've been there. I've been in there a few times. You know, and then Foodtown, Foodtown Supermarket. You know, and and I have no recall checking into that A&P supermarket over there. But there used to be an A&P right off of Littleton Avenue and South Orange Avenue, and that was my very first supermarket. I believe, I think, A&P. You know, well, the thing is, A&P nowadays days have, have been gone and went out of business. Moments after they purchased Pathmark supermarkets, that's also been gone. You know, Pathmark supermarkets, and you know, and the thing is it didn't last because that A&P by where I live, it was turned into a church, just like that other A&P, right off of Milford Avenue was turned into a church. There's the Rayco auto auto center, the Value gas station, Exxon station, Amoco. Oh, and then there's you got the White Castle over there, across from Whiskey World and Wigway Park. You know, then and I was wondering during after a couple of years later, Sears went out of business. That Sears in the Green Building went out of business at that time when I was riding with somebody named Gregory Neely, and I didn't get any answers. I was wondering. I didn't bother to ask why Sears went out of business. But now it's known as the Brantley Brothers Moving and Storage lately. Yeah. Then we left. We moved out of Newark, New Jersey, see, for like a year and a half to spend some time in in Salisbury, North Carolina. No, but it was not. Then we paid a visit in New Jersey for like a couple of days, and then we came back to North Carolina, and then right after I finished my school year with North Rowan Primary School, we moved back to New Jersey. And we stayed, and then we stayed with Greg, with with uh with a few friends' house, which is right next to, right by RNS, the old RNS Strauss store, and the Sunoco station, and then there's a Dairy Queen stand. It didn't last. It was turned into Prince Burger, in the '90s, and then you know we stayed there. Then and then moments after we spent a couple of weeks weeks staying at our friend's house, you know, right by the liquor store down in Valesburg, before we moved over to this pink house down in Elizabeth Avenue. No, not Elizabeth Avenue, but Ridgewood Avenue. You know, and that's when I started. I was watching. I was watching cartoons. I was enjoyed watching cartoons on W on WNEW Channel 5. and on WPIX, and then on Saturday mornings. You know, I remember when my sister and I you used to hang out with our friends across the street, and we used to hang out at a corner store called Deli Hands, where we was playing video games such as Miss Pac-Man, Popeye, and Stargate. Then then additional games such as Mr. Do and Mr. Do's Castle and Joust. But not until and then I enjoyed visiting White Castle. White Castle, I enjoyed the hamburgers, and I'm glad White Castle is still there. That the White Castle in the Elizabeth Avenue is still there. And speaking of Elizabeth Avenue, you know, we moved over to this apartment building called Zion Towers. I enjoyed staying at Zion Towers. They're apartments. They're apartments. You know, and it's across from Weekway Park. We stayed there for a couple of years from 1984 to 1989. You know, and at the time, I went I went to Belmont Runyon School oh, for a year before spending most of my 80s these educational wise into this private school down in South Orange, New Jersey, called the Children's Institute. Since I was diagnosed with autism in 1978. So I stayed there, and I enjoyed that school in the Children's Institute until 1988 when I graduated from and then I went to Arts High School, went to my high school days. Well, but eventually during my time at the Children's Institute, we I've been to this one place that became my future. That and I really enjoyed going to this one place, and it has it's all the delicious pizza, all the music, video games, and everything, and it's called Chuck E. Cheese. But it didn't. But nowadays, that's been gone. You know. And then, well, I've been to the Burger King down in South Orange Avenue, which is a couple of days, couple of blocks minutes from Arts High School, the the one school that I would go next. So I like to share my Jersey memories, but mostly it's up Newark, you know. But there are are some stuff that I don't miss over there, and that is sometimes there can be crowded streets in downtown Newark, and there's unfriendly people and polluted air, and there's some crimes, you know. Well, it happened. It happened. Been every day. It don't just happen in Newark. It happened in New York City, and it happens everywhere. But the thing is, I really enjoyed going those places, and I'm gonna tell you more of the places I've been in Newark, where that I really miss on part two of you know of of my of Newark memories, Newark memories. So until then, I'm the Wiggle Man, signing off. In closing, sing Liv Morgan or bust, baby. Liv Morgan or bust. Have a good night, everybody.